The cockpit is not answering their phone. Our number 1 has been staffed, and our 5 has been staffed.
I'm going to call from Washington. I have a situation with American to learn a possible hijack.
What's going on, Betty? The aircraft is erratic again. Problem, very erratic. Betty, talk to me. Betty, are you there? Betty? Betty?
United 175, New York. We have some problems over here right now. We might have a hijack over here, 2 of them.
Jules, this is Ryan. Listen, on an airplane that's been hijacked, and things will go well, and it's not looking good. I just want you to know I absolutely love you. I want you to feel good, so happy this time. Same to my parents and everybody. And I just totally love you, and I will see you later. Bye, babe.
United 93, that traffic for you is 1 o'clock, 12 miles eastbound 370.
Negative contact, we're looking United 93.
United 93, Cleveland, if you hear the center ident.
I got the pizza down. Keep remaining sitting. You have a ball board.
Tuesday, 9:47 a.m.
Hi, baby. Baby, you have to listen to me carefully. I'm on a plane that's been hijacked. I'm on the plane. I'm calling from the plane. I want to tell you I love you. Please tell my children that I love them very much. And I'm so sorry, babe. I hope to be able to see your face again, baby. I love you. Bye.
We're 56865. We have, I believe it is a Boeing 757. Can you see him up there, sir?
That's confirmed. It looks like he's rocking his wings.
Roger.
He's rocking back and forth.
We're 56865. I advise you stay away from that aircraft. Go north as fast as you can.
United 93. Have you got information on that yet?
Yeah, he's down.
He's down?
Yes.
When did he land?
He did not land.
Oh, he's down?
Yeah,
Bound?
somewhere up northeast of Camp David.
The plane just
What?
737.
What?
The World Trade Center. Who are you talking to?
Oh, God. Oh, my God.
What are those people going to do? All the elevators are blocked out.
Oh my God. So both towers are now.
Okay, now I got an aircraft 6 miles east of the White House.
Hello?
Crystal City, just north of Crystal City.
Just to the north of your town.
Yeah, stop all departures.
Sean, it's me. I just want to let you know I love you, and I'm stuck in this building in New York. There's lots of smoke, and I just wanted you to know that I love you always.
At number 2 World Trade Center, right. Lady was stewardess in this office. We're not ready to die, but it's getting bad.
I'm on the 83rd floor. I'm gonna die, aren't I? No. I'm gonna die.
Liv, say your prayers. We're going to think positive because you got to help each other get off the floor.
I'm gonna die.
A new type of war. That's what it is. Pentagon just got hit. Don't throw in that. Can't protect point in NCA.
Watch approach.
Hey, this is Dulles Approach Control. We're tracking a fast-moving primary heading towards the White House. The White House has been advised.
All right. See what happens.
Yeah, went in the Pentagon. Looks like it went in the Pentagon.
explosion. We heard that it was a plane down. Can you confirm?
We're not positive, but we are responding from supposedly in the area of the 14th Street Bridge.
Engine 101, did it crash over in the area of the Pentagon? Is that correct?
We're looking at the confirmation on the location.
Engine 108, we have a report of a plane crash somewhere in the area of the Pentagon. We're trying to get further. I need you to go over to 1 David.
We're responding from 1 David. Confirm plane down. 14th Street Bridge area. 101 Dodge, we saw it go down.
Engine 101, saw it go down.
105 is on the scene. I have a plan.
It's around 8:45 a.m., a chilled morning in New York City, partly cloudy. In Boston, American Airlines Flight 11, bound for Los Angeles, has been hijacked. Then a news bulletin. An airplane flying due south has crashed into the upper level of the North Tower of the World Trade Centers, 9:03 a.m. A surreal event unlike anything in the history of the broadcast media. Countless viewers are watching live when suddenly an airplane is seen flying in an easterly direction. The plane swings around the southern end of the Second World Trade Tower and explodes on impact. 9:30 a.m. President Bush at an elementary school in Sarasota, Florida, goes on television live to announce the disaster.
Terrorism against our nation will not stand.
But even the president doesn't know just what is coming next. At 9:35 a.m., a third hijacked plane crashes into the Pentagon. There is no question now that the United States is under attack by terrorists. In Washington, the Pentagon, the Capitol, and the White House, as well as other government buildings, are evacuated. And Manhattan Island, incredibly, is sealed off. All bridges and tunnels are closed. And then, 9:59 a.m., a scene that will change New York for all time. The South Tower of the World Trade Center collapses. And just a half hour later, at 10:28, the North Tower goes down as well. New York's Twin Towers have disappeared. It has been less than 2 hours since the first attack in New York City. An unimaginable number of people are dead and injured. The southern end of New York City's famous skyline has vanished. Nothing will ever be the same again. In a street-side news conference near the terrible devastation of the World Trade Centers, New York City Mayor Rudolph Giuliani said, "I have a sense it's a horrendous number of lives lost. I don't know yet. Right now, we have to focus on saving as many lives as possible."
On 9/11, I was on my way to a college course at Cal U, and upon arriving at campus, we were all told that the campus was closed and sent back to our dorms. So then I turned the TV on and realized what was going on in our country.
Unfortunately, I do remember where I was that day. I was in the portables in what is now Mrs. Lucasco's room, and we had a security guard who came in and told us what was going on, and we actually had to watch it live. It's very sad.
On 9/11, I was teaching at West, and in my class, Marilee McFadden came to my door, and she told me that a plane had hit the World Trade Center. So that's where I was that day, and it was one of the saddest days.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Kesmarsky, and I was at UPJ. I was a student at Pitt at Johnstown taking classes, and at that time they actually had us leave our classes and go back to our dorms because one of the planes did fly over.
On September 11th, 2001, I was home at the time of the events. I was actually in college at the time, and I had a class that was either late morning or early afternoon. Well, it ended up getting canceled. So I didn't have to go to my class, so I was basically just stayed home and watched the events unfold on TV, and I remember the devastation of it, and still, even 18 years later, it still sticks with me that how tragic that day was.
Okay, I was sitting in my 10th grade English classroom at Connellsville High School when the first plane hit the World Trade Center. And a teacher came in across the hall and said, a plane is hit, so we turned on the TV. And as we were sitting there, we saw the second plane hit live.
I was sitting in PA local history class at the high school, and a teacher came in and said that there was a plane that flew into the World Trade Centers, so they put it on TV, and then we moved to our third period class or second period class, which was geometry, and we watched live as the second plane hit the World Trade Centers. So it was a little shocking, and it was kind of weird because in the United States you almost feel invincible, like nothing like that could happen when you realize what was going down, but it was very awkward, very weird.
I was working in a hospital down in Morgantown, West Virginia, when we got word that a plane had hit the towers. So we turned on the TV and we watched live as the second plane flew into the other tower.
I was actually teaching here. I was in 301, and at the time we had all the doors, windows open because there was no air conditioning, of course. When the planes hit, they came and said we were in lockdown, and we didn't even know how to lock the doors and windows, because we never had to do it before. So it was kind of scary.
I was actually not in school that day. I was at the doctor's office. I was pregnant with my second child, and it was going to be the first time I heard her heartbeat. And I was listening on the radio and heard it, and then I went into the doctor's office and heard more about 9/11. And everywhere I went that day, that's every stop I made, that's all we talked about. And it was very quiet and very creepy out in public. So my take's a little different than Miss Schultz. I was out in public that day.
Hi, I was a freshman in college at WVU, and I was on the PRT, which is like the subway system at West Virginia, and no communication, no cell phones work there. There was no communication from the outside world. And when I got off to go to my job at the rec center, I walked in and everyone was just standing there with blank faces and arms just next to them. And I immediately knew something had happened, and everyone was just silent. It was like the craziest thing I had ever experienced.
I was at college, at Point Park College in Pittsburgh, and I remember I worked at the children's school, and I went to work that morning. And, you know, they told us, and they made everybody like evacuate the campus. So I got to go home. But the scariest part about it was my brother lives in New York City. So he actually slept in that day for work and didn't go to work, which I was so thankful, because then he was at his apartment where he was safe. So I just remember everybody being like afraid and, you know, wondering if their loved ones were okay and wondering like what was going to come next out of it.
I was in 8th grade English class at Albert Gallatin South Middle School, and I felt nervous, unsure, scared, and parents were coming to pick up students, and I just wanted to go home and make sure I was safe.
On 9/11, I was a junior in high school, and I remember watching it on TV in my home ec class and just being really confused on what was happening and what was going on in the world.
Well, during the 9/11 attacks, I was actually working at the airport in Pittsburgh. So it was kind of a scary place to be whenever all the planes were crashing. A person came into my office and told me that a plane had hit one of the towers, and I thought it was a small airplane, till later when we actually found out it was the big jumbo jets. It was the first time that actually something was, the word I would use would be surreal. I couldn't believe that what was happening was actually happening. So it was a very scary day for us, especially being so close to one of the places where the planes crashed.
9/11, 2001. I was actually a senior in college, sitting in my classroom when the first tower got struck. I can remember it was a economics class. First tower got hit. Then we turned the TV on, and we actually saw the second tower get hit at around 9:03 a.m. that morning. After the second tower got hit, our professor decided to cancel class, and we all rushed home to turn on the news and watch the events of the day. What a terrible day that was. Such a tragedy.
I was in 11th grade, and I was sitting in the classroom, and it was almost at the end of the period. The bell was getting ready to ring, and one of the other teachers came in and talked to my teacher and said, "Hey, did you see what happened?" And like we could hear them talking, and like we knew something was going on. And so I went to my next class after the bell rang, and I went in, and the teacher had the TV on. And at that point, the first plane had already hit the tower, and so we were all kind of thinking maybe it was an accident, but while we were watching, the second plane hit the tower, and then we knew something was seriously wrong. And it was just such a feeling of shock, like no one knew what to say. And for the rest of the day, we were all just kind of really quiet, and we didn't learn much that day because, kids were getting called out of their classes left and right to go home. It was such a strange feeling having like 5 kids in your class all day long. And then when you came home and you started hearing what was happening, and then like lots of my friends, because I was in high school, they were in fire departments and stuff, and just to hear them come across the radio with, "We need crews to go to Somerset, and we need crews to get ready to go to New York." It's just kind of like, it was just everyone walked around, didn't know what to say. It was just, you were in shock. It was definitely an experience, and I'll remember that day for the rest of my life.
I do walking tours of the 9/11 Memorial for the 9/11 Tribute Center. And I meet people on my tours from all 4 corners of the globe. On every one of my tours, I mention that most people don't remember what they did yesterday. But I have had so many guests on my tours come up to me and say that they remember every single detail about where they were and what they were doing on September 11th, regardless of where they're from.
When you talk to anybody, say, and you tell them where you were on September 11th, they'll tell you exactly where they were, because even though they may not have been in the building, but they'll definitely remember where they were.
People always remember every single moment of that day around the world, because September 11, 2001 is not just New Yorker's story, it's not just my story, but it is international part of history and a history of every single person in the world.
And what I say to my guests all the time is, that's your 9/11 story. And you should tell it, because by telling it, by doing so, you help us to share history, and you help us to keep the spirit of what happened here alive. I'm inspired by that. That gives me so much hope.
I believe September 11th would be the equivalent of D-Day for certain generations, or Pearl Harbor, or when JFK was assassinated. Those seminal, markers in your history, in your lifetime.
My cousin was in Pearl Harbor. My father and grandfather remember Pearl Harbor. These generations will need to remember.
I think it's important to try to remember some tragedies. Remember that life can be very precious and can be gone in a flash.
These are emotional memories that cannot be translated into a textbook. These are stories that we tell people, and hopefully the generation will understand this here and bring it forward to the next generation.
I feel that a lot of people use September 11th to remember the wrong things, to remember the divisions instead of what brought us together. And I think as more and more time goes by, more and more people just remember the hate that caused that act instead of the love that followed it. We were all one that day. People from New York, DC, all over the country and all over the world. Everybody was united. I think that's why everybody remembers where they were, because everybody's heart was here. I remember.
I remember.
I remember. I remember September 11th.
I remember September 11th.
I remember September 11th.
I remember September 11th.
I remember September 11th.